Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody? All the fun things to expect on a Thursday happening on a Thursday. Things are indeed happening. Things are happening. Mic too low. the mic wasn't even on. Let's get this party started here. Seb is here. JKE 14. I don't know. I'm sure he's been here before. Initial question about a lower low. The only thing that really matters here is for holders. If we make a lower low below the April low, then I think the cycle's over. Otherwise, this is just mean reversion pullback type stuff in my eyes. On the BTC side, I don't like anything here. Just to be clear, for the people who stick around for 5 seconds and then leave. Me personally, I don't like alts here. I don't like crypto-related equities here. Do I like legacy here? Not really. There are a few things that we'll talk about. I just think everything needs time to just drift and do nothing. What about a wick lower below the April low? I mean, we just don't want to have that conversation, because I was thinking about this last night too. The moment we get anything down here, you're going to get people saying, oh, this is another double top, right? We just saw that in 21, 22. I don't want to have to think about that if we get down there. So the first warning shot is going to be anything negative on the cloud, again, is always like a be careful. We're in serious bear territory now. So that's currently below 90. Realistically, we'll say like 91, 92. If we get closes down here, then as a holder, you really, at least not financial advice, in my opinion, as a holder, you really have to say, okay, where do I want to reduce if I want to reduce? But then if we make a new lower low below 75, I don't care if it's a wick, I don't care what it is, you just don't want to be down there. You should never be making lower lows in a bull trend, period. So you really don't want to see that. I could say, well, we saw it all last year. True. It wasn't over then. To me, the difference now is the duration from the low. We have maybe 100, 200 good days left in us if this cycle is anything like the prior cycles. So if that's the case, and it takes us 100 days to get back to 80K, this is just probabilities. Do you expect another 30% recovery at 80K? 1,200 days into a rally from the low? Until we see it, until it actually happens, it's hard to say it can happen. That's just probabilities. Obviously, the past is not the future, but that's just what we've seen. So going into this, what is the probability of us recovering again below 80K? I don't know if it's high. Just because if we zoom way out, this is what I'm talking about. Days since that 15K low, this is what we're talking about here. This has been a long run, a great run, a long run. And it's about in the wheelhouse of what we've seen. Give it another 200 days. So I think we can have a great continuation in the next 1 to 200 days. But right now, things are looking heavy across the board. Alts, by the way, did not follow through with BTC up here. Very bad sign for alts. Dominance is still what it is. And everything else is still true. Funding is negative. Euphoria just isn't there on anything. On alts, on NFTs. It was there briefly for meme coins for like a week or two. But what here is euphoric? Nothing. If we look at the ETFs, yes, the ETFs have had great inflows, but it's been all IBIT. Probably not something you want to see if we're actually bullish. We probably see other stuff flowing, getting flows. So I don't think it's the end of the cycle, But I also don't want to think about what it's going to look like below 94, below 90. Well, 94 is okay. So, below 91. Whatever the cloud says. I'm just repeating whatever the cloud is showing me. So it's not like I have some genius ideas on levels here. I like 93 because that's what the cloud is showing as a possible retracement. I liked a trailing stop loss continuously all the way up, just as the Williams fractals, the backtested indicator, says you should do. So that's what I did. That's why I took a bunch off over the past week on the BTC trading stack, because it just didn't make sense to keep holding on to it. Of course, I want this to go to 333K by July, but I'm also going to listen to the trading signals. Trump told Powell he was making a mistake on rates. I mean, hasn't he been saying that for a while now? What's up, Karen? Delivio, Pratik. Doing good. A lot of rain on my neck of the woods, so it's just been rain, rain, rain. Made a note a few days ago asking about a legacy ticker. NOTV. What's that one? Maybe we'll take a look at it. So this is, I can't pull up Williams fractals on Kraken desktop yet, but if you just type in WF, it'll get pulled up. And you can see that this is the trailing stop loss. You do not want closes below the wick level of this fractal. Currently, that's at 106.6. Currently, we are below that level. So even if we close at or slightly above, it's just not a good look, right? It's just not a good look if you're playing the trailing stop loss home game with Williams fractals. We had a great run, 50%, So if you can nail the exit, great. Nail the trailing stop loss, great. Now what's the next step? The next step is just really do nothing and be patient. Where am I wrong? I'm wrong if we get closes above 111. 110.7 is the fractal to the upside. It's unlikely that we breach a support wick low or whatever and then keep going. It's not impossible. It's just, again, this is probabilities. What do probabilities suggest? That we squirrel around somewhere between 106 and 90, 94, 93, whatever. I don't know if we actually get 93, but that's the 50% retracement based on the cloud. So that's why I like that. We can turn on VPVR and we can look at levels on the way down. 96, 97 I like, 103, 104 I like. That's about it. We shouldn't really live anywhere near below 94. That just shouldn't happen. So that's kind of BTC at the moment. That's why going into this week, we were talking about 7 straight weeks of green. Can we see 8? It's unlikely. It's only ever happened 3 times. We've never seen 9 straight weeks. So this, to me, is all expected. Brant, Ron, Steven, John Crooner. Not to be confused with John Carter. Mic is always low. I literally turned up the mic. I had people telling me to turn the mic down. There is a Discord for subbers. I'll have to, if you're subbed to the YouTube, I'll put a new link if I remember. Let me write that down. I had to pull the Discord links everywhere because we were getting spammed. So I've kind of just been like trickling it out there. Gold. We can take a look at gold. 60% cash right now. That sounds right to me. How long until liking them again? Probably July. Probably July. Customary Thursday drop. Exactly. Exactly. Why stay in SOL if you don't like alts? I think I am plenty hedged off or risk off, like on the book level, that I can afford to eat some down in SOL, eat some down in Maker. So if we go to like, what am I holding right now? I don't know if I'm holding any BTC anywhere on the trading side. I don't think I am. Not in the Kraken account. Not on my other accounts either. But so what do I have right now? I have Sol. Whatever, right? Like this could go to 140. Would I be leveraged here? No. But what I do like still is this Sol BTC chart. That's what's keeping me in it, if anything. I like the possibility that this curls up maybe July. I'm willing to just sit here. I just don't care. So there's that. But if you want to be like hyper aggressive, yes, you should not be sitting in alts here. That's just my opinion. Alts have not performed how you'd expect them to. They are not 2x on the upside. They're over 2x on the downside. So I'm still sitting on a little Sol. Maker, is that one on here? Maker's another one. I like this chart still. Is it something I'm expecting to move soon? No. This might not move until Q4, okay? But I'm willing to just sit here and eat some down. I don't want to see this make a new lower low. This is Maker BTC, but I like the pattern. I like the chart. And then the last one would be ENA. I don't know what the ENA BTC chart looks like. I should probably look at that because it's probably abysmal. ENA on my list here somewhere? Should be. Am I blind? There it is. Wait. I just saw it. There it is. So ENA, again, I'm just looking at the cloud. Broadly, alts aren't the move. Crypto's not the move right now. Okay, clearly, as is evidenced by BTC just sort of pulling back. But I like that this is flattened out. I like it. I like it here. I still do. I like where it's at in the cloud. Unless this drops below 34, then maybe I do something. But I don't know. And I'm not saying people should follow me here. They shouldn't. They shouldn't follow me on any trades. Everything you do should be on your own. What I'm willing to eat on the downside is based on like total portfolio risk, not individual position risk, if that makes sense. A fresh long on Sol, on BTC, down here, my guy, if I'm calling for 93, if the cloud is calling for 93, I have no interest in anything up here. And we can go to the 4 hour. The 4 hour is another good equalizer for people just visually. You could also use the 4 hour as a trailing stop loss and say, okay, as long as we're above the cloud, we're fine, which has been the case since 80. You'd of course have to backtest this, but generally the 4 hour is a good sanity check. At the top here, we were talking about inverted Adam and Eve, and now we're in the 4 hour cloud. This hasn't fully flipped bearish yet, but it doesn't look good. So until this resolves itself in whatever form that may be, to whatever percentage that may be, I just I'm not interested. So those are some things you can watch outside of just 93 on the cloud, which admittedly is significant. You know, that's a like 15% plus pullback. I don't think we see that personally, but I think you have to be prepared a little bit for that. There is, like, again, if I'm wrong, and it's good to map this out, you get people who are perma bullish or perma bearish, and they're never thinking about both sides of the equation. You don't want to really live in that realm. So where could we go if I'm wrong? If I'm wrong, I think it's the yearly pivot at 120. Can I pull those up on here? I think so. Oh, JK. The yearly pivot. Go back to this. Yearly pivot's right there at 122, and that was the other reason that earlier this week I was kind of saying, look, the downside is potentially 93 and the upside's only 122, and we're at 111, 110. I don't know. It just felt not skewed in the direction you want it to be. So if we get something like this, great. Love it. I mean, that's what I want, right? I want get my bids filled, and then let's revisit all-time highs. Something else you also don't want to see if you're still bullish here is just a generic head and shoulders. You know, we could get the first breakdown and draw something like this, right? And now we're talking about an actual move to 94, 97. That's still possible. On the 4 hour, we can measure out that Adam and Eve. Take the high, take the low. That gets us to about just above 100, 102, 103. So we're not going to get to 92 in a day, but that would be the ultimate level that I would like to see on a pullback. Don't know if I'll get it. Don't know if I'll get it. Liquidity's still fine. Everything's still fine. How long do these pullbacks last? I think the entirety of the month is reasonable. June is not a good month seasonally. Just hasn't been. What's up, Joey? Is this where I'd consider a short? The best times to short are in the cyclical transition phases because you have the most kinetic energy to take you lower. That's when, again, the probabilities are on your side. So if we're talking 100 to 200 days from now, to me, that's when shorting makes the most sense, assuming the cloud is telling you to. Because what's your downside here? 15%. That's a decent percent. Like that's still a good trade. I just don't know if we're actually going to get to that level. Based on the pattern, you could say it's a short. I don't think you always need to be doing something. Being in cash is a position. Being risk off is a position. 1x short is effectively what that is, and I'm fine with that. So me personally, I don't see a reason to be short anything here. Like I could easily be wrong. I expected some more headlines that were bullish out of this conference, and we really haven't seen anything that I've heard that's bullish. Maybe I'm wrong there. MSTR looking like garbage, yeah. Yeah, we can take a look at that too. Not great. How would I find that? The link I'll post the link in the, there's like a paid YouTube section. I'll post it. 60% cash, 40% BTC. Seb is a member now. Knit is a member. So I did this video for like paid members. I didn't do it for more paid members. I did it for the people who are already paid. So I appreciate all the support in either direction. SPX 6900. We can take a look. Is that even on Kraken? I don't even know. It might be. They've been listing all sorts of stuff. Is it this? If it's this, which it could be, I don't actually know. Broadly here, everything just looks like the moves have played out. That's it. I just think we need time. We either need time or price down. That's it. Like, look at this move. It's 2x from April. The problem is people are either holding from higher still, or they're late on trades like this and they want more. And neither of those individuals get rewarded. Sorry. You're just going to have to wait. Not saying that that's you, but Viet Trong. I'm just saying, everything's probably going to need some more time. What's the difference between now versus 2021 all-time high? Now versus 2021 all-time high. Well, we have ETFs. We don't have SPF selling. We don't have a double top yet. We don't have Luna yet. We have Bitcoin Treasury companies, which are going to be a problem in a bear market because they're going to be selling 100%. Is GME going to hold on to their coins in a bear market? Doubt it. I doubt it. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. Structure here is not what we saw in 2021. Not yet. So we're pretty far away from that. Also in 2021, not for nothing, we had a bunch of bear patterns that you can go back on this very channel and you can hear me talking about them in 2021. The first one being back here, this was a rising wedge. And I'm sure it was talking about a head and shoulders sideways here, but this is where I sold coins in 2021. I did not rebuy the coins that I sold until much later. But the other thing we had in 2021 was this. I guess it was something like this, right? We had this head and shoulders below the cloud with a neckline. And again, that's just not somewhere you want to live. Then we had this Luna distraction with Luna buying BTC, right? And then again, we got slammed below the cloud. And then Luna exploded. So we don't have any of that yet, right? Like, that's why I think the daily cloud is the most important thing. How we get there is going to be obvious once things start unraveling, but we're not quite there yet. You know, we don't have the double top complete. You're going to hear a lot of people calling for comparisons. Fine, whatever. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. We heard the same thing here. We heard the same thing here. You're going to hear it anytime you see two highs. That's what people are going to say. Whatever. That's why you need a better framework than just a random double top. Technically, this is a triple top up here. And if we get a quad top, you know, are people going to say, oh man, it's over? No, I don't think so. So best case, we just squirrel around down here near 100K and then try again in Q4. I say alts look bad, but ETH is down less than BTC today. That's fair. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I said this on the alt video. To me, if BTC is the bellwether for the entirety of the market, it's very hard for alts to do anything opposite of that. Obviously, that's happening today. But what is your confidence that that's going to continue? I don't know. I don't personally have confidence that ETH can just pull away. If BTC breaks down to 100K, I think it's going to drag everything down with it. BTC dominance TK cross on what time frame? We have another SPX 6900. No, it's not a trade. SPX, not for me. Not for me. So everything I said that was bullish Wednesday is still the case. It's still Adam and Evie, ascending triangle-y up here. I would love to think that this could move independently of the market, but it usually doesn't. So again, it's a probability game. For me, I just don't care. I don't care. If Bitcoin is bearish, it's hard for me to take anything seriously. But you're not wrong. It's clearly up today and Bitcoin's down, right? 100%. People who clean up spam comments need a special video. Dominance, we can take a look. Are you talking about daily? Daily. Okay, so there's a daily TK. There's like a gap down in dominance. Am I looking at the right dominance? I guess it's the only option. All right, we got a bearish TK cross on dominance. Fair. Death cross was also called out on dominance. I don't see a death cross just yet, but yes. It's like telling people Santa Claus isn't real, and they're like, no, he's real. I saw him in 2021. That's what alt season is to some people. The issue with the daily TK cross is, yeah, sure, it's bearish for BTC on a relative basis, but look at the backtest on the daily. It's been noise. It's been noise. It hasn't really meant anything, right? Now, could it be the start of something? It could be, but zooming out to a time frame that makes more sense to me, the 3-day, you even had a bearish TK cross back here, and it just still kept going. So I don't know what to tell you. We've lived below the daily. It's been fine. I just I don't see it. Now, it would start to make sense if we start to pull to 70, then maybe there's some relative value arguments, but the issue with alts versus BTC is there's just so much inflation on a relative basis. So it's hard to prop those prices up. There's so much inflation. So I guess my question for the alt people is like, what's your conviction? Where's the next 20% move in alts? A lot of people think it's ETH. I don't think I have any conviction on any chart, to be honest, alt-wise. I still like Maker and ENA, but that's going to take millennia to play out on a relative basis compared to everything else. Sol ETH was another one that crumbled quite a bit, but ultimately it's gone nowhere since October, right? Like it's just this huge range. It's certainly more bearish than it was. Is there anything actionable here? I don't know. It just looks like a mess to me. Is SBET, that's inverse ETH, right? Did I feel FOMO after not rebuying and seeing it go back up? So I still traded BTC, but the HODL stuff that I had sold, that cash was not in trading accounts to even put back into the market. that cash was gone. What black swan event do you think will occur to end this bull run? I don't think it's necessarily a black swan, but I think all these Bitcoin Treasury companies that are just clearly buying to make their stock go up is not a good thing. They have the least conviction. Metaplanet's going to be fine. MicroStrategy, fine as in they will hold their BTC. They'll get slaughtered on the stock price. But Metaplanet's not going to be selling, most likely. Sailor certainly isn't going to be selling. Go down the list of these other companies, and I'm not so sure. Yeah, we just talked about ETH, Ian. Like if you think BTC only gets to 120, 150, but you think ETH could go to 4,000, you probably like ETH here over BTC. I don't blame you. I just don't know how to properly give that a properly give that a probability. The equivalent for ETH is literally 4,000, where BTC is, right? BTC hit its all-time high already. So ETH still has a lot of catching up to do, and on a percentage basis, ETH is still down on the year, right? Am I crazy? Am I wrong? Hold on, January, yeah, it's still down like 20%, right? Do you know Apple's still down 20% on the year? Crazy. 2021 had the Pi cycle top. It did, but it also had the cloud. The cloud was not wrong in 2021. Hit them likes, it helps. It does help. Thanks, Sebastian. I like this pullback to liquidate James Wynn. Yeah, the funny thing is when you see people idolizing degenerate gambling like that, it usually doesn't end well when you become a main character. And for a few of us who've been around a while, we can think of a few examples of that. He's just over trading. and it doesn't need being flat is fine. You don't need to constantly be in the market taking positions. He clearly had some sort of edge to get to 85 million in his P&L, but whatever that was is not the same edge that's effective in this environment, obviously. The fact that he gave it all back. If we do have an alt season, it'll be quick. I mean, some people say that we already had alt season. Some of the stuff 2-3x from lows, right? Pepe, that's a 3x from a low. What do you want alt season to be? Do you want alt season to be breadth, as in throw a dart at a board and you can't miss? Or do you want it to be percentage moves? Because some of these percentage moves have been insane. Fartcoin, again, like insane percentage move, right? It's gone from 20 cents to 165 in like 3 months. The problem, I think, for most people is they're just in the wrong alts, right? They're in like page 104 on CoinMarketCap versus page 2 or 3. That's the issue. SBET is the new ETH MSTR. Kinetic wars could mess up. We have Trump. We can't have kinetic wars. He says he won't go to war, right? World peace. Weekly's the best option. ETH target is 3,100. I don't really have any targets for ETH, to be quite honest. But we could measure it with fibs. We could say there's the high, there's the low. 3,100 is a fair target and the next move up. I'm really just watching the cloud on the daily. We still don't have a fully bullish cloud on the daily for ETH. Not yet, but we're getting there. Sol still in the cloud, Ripple still in the cloud, looks weak-ish. You really don't want this living below the cloud. Sui just sort of chilling at the top of the cloud, looks okay. Cardano still trying to pull below the cloud. There's a, I hesitate to say anything positive about Cardano because the Cardano people are gonna take that and run with it, but you'd probably want to see something like this into whenever, July Q4, I don't know. But you certainly don't want to be making lower lows. Below 70 cents. Not where you want to live. Monero, I don't think anybody should be trading Monero. I just got to be honest. If you like Monero for the fundamentals, buy it, hold it, forget about it, keep it as a percentage of your stack, whatever. I just don't think it's tradable, honestly. Aave, like ETH, you're just waiting for trend. You got your edge to edge. LTC, just chilling. Really nothing to say there. Curve. Looks okay. I just think it needs time, along with everything else. Tau looks okay. I think it needs time. Link, middle of the cloud. Caspa gave it all back into the cloud. Not what you want to see. FET, this move looks broadly done. You're going to need consolidation for a breakout there on the daily. AVAX went nowhere. This one set up really nicely. Looked really good and then went nowhere. Ondo. Sorry, RWA bros. I got nothing for you there. Tron. Tron probably looks the best out of any chart. Just look at the price position. It flattened out for like 6 months and it's still holding highs. Tron doesn't trade like the rest of the market for both good and bad reasons, and just the technicals here look fine. They look fine. Render didn't quite hit the cloud targets, and now it's just kind of in no man's land. But I like how this is setting up into July. There will be a time when all this stuff starts to look better. Dot, nothing, near nothing, Kaito, it's not for me. I don't like trading fresh stuff like hype or Kaito. It's just not for me. But it looks fine. I got nothing for you. Atom, death, algo, death, Tia, mega death, say, just flat, Aptos flat. A lot of these just never pulled up. Rune looks whatever. Pith, mega death, stacks flat. Ray is kind of sitting in the middle of the cloud there. HNT death, AXL death. So there we are. Pepe looks okay. Doge just in the middle of the cloud. Fartcoin, I'd expect this to pull back 75 cents or lower, honestly. Trump coin never broke out of that flag. WIF needs more time. Popcat, more time. Mog, more time. Shib, bottom of the cloud. Bonk. Yeah, you know, this just isn't, none of these are somewhere where I like taking entries on positions. That's just me. SMR, like SMLR. So Ian saying that the ETH laggard trade, like it'll play catch up. That's what you have to think. If you're bullish ETH here, you have to think that. You have to think it's down 20% on the year. Clearly ETH BTC has to pull up. It has to keep going. You have to think that if you're bullish ETH BTC here. We'll see if that's correct at the end of the year. I don't know. But I'm more confident in bullish continuation if it can get above the cloud. It is still in the cloud. So this is no different than any other chart we just looked at. It's just in the middle here. It's just, you know, it's got nothing. The expectations are neutral in the cloud. Bearish below, bullish above. That's it. So I like this better later in the year if we can get back above the cloud. Monthly ETH chart, a morning star. We can take a look. I mean, I'll agree with you blindly just because I just can't see ETH doing well with Bitcoin not doing well. Monthly morning star. Not that I see. You had to confirm Dragonfly. Now it's super late on the monthly, but what has ETH done since 2021? It's done nothing. It's done nothing, right? It's done nothing. Now, if you're bullish ETH, this is what you have to believe. You have to believe that this is an ascending triangle. You have to believe that one day this will break out. This, theoretically, could just do this until 2030. I don't know, right? That's why I don't like ranges. Ranges aren't for me. We want bullish continuation. We want strength, momentum. ETH has just done nothing. It's just done nothing. It's a better trader. Twitter, thank you, bro. And if we pull up, if we go like ETH BTC, Kraken, weekly, cloud. I do like a Kijun mean reversion. Somebody told me a while back that I'm mispronouncing a lot of this stuff terribly. So, you know, in the future, the AI models will fix that. They'll just change how I say that, so I won't need to fix myself. But whatever this level is here would be the level you'd want to see. So that's what, a 2x from here ish on ETH BTC. That's what you'd want to see if you're, you know, if you're bullish ETH. That's where you want to see it. Ondo was in the cloud and out of the cloud. It means don't expect anything bullish. Do you think 2026? I think 2026 is going to be bearish for everything. So just based on probabilities, based on duration from the low for BTC, I would love for that to not be the case. I would love that ETFs keep buying and institutional capital. I don't know. I just don't see it. Solely talked about just chop. Am I suspicious of the correlation between M2 and Bitcoin? Not really. I mean, here's Bitcoin with the 75-day offset. Looks great. Look at this in 2024. It literally is the chop of liquidity in 2024. We bounced maybe a few days after expected, probably because of the Liberation Day stuff, but largely we're holding where you'd expect us to hold on liquidity. Liquidity kind of paused here, chopped around and made a new high. I don't know. I think all this stuff looks fine to me. How you'd expect it to look. All right, let's talk about some legacy stuff. What is this? Oh, Sharp Link. See, I don't know who this is, like, helps. Why would you trade this? I just don't understand. Because now it's at like crazy nav multiple, probably. Who the hell knows what they're doing them with the ETH, and are they staking it? I don't know. Are they buying more? I don't know. To me, all this is just like PR, right? I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what these people are doing, right? LTC is just like everything else in the cloud. Really nothing to say there. Nothing looks strong here. Don't clip what I'm about to say. Don't clip it. But ETH looks the strongest. Good entry for MetaPlanet. This one's tough to chart, so I don't actually know. Because it's either OTC or, like, I tried to trade this once and I just didn't understand what the pricing mechanism was. I think it's like 760. Basically the old all-time high. Here's my Adam and Eve. We were talking about Adam and Eve down here. I didn't take the trade, but that's what played out. It's the same thing that played out back here. Adam and Eve. That's where they added BTC, by the way, at 30. So I think if you're buying SBET, SharpLink, or any of these others that are adding Solana or ETH or Ripple, I saw a company. This is the company VVPR. Yeah. They announced that they're adding XRP to their treasury yesterday. The chart looks interesting on its own. Kind of a broadening wedge, inverted head and shoulders. It reminds me of the Bed Bath & Beyond chart a little bit. But everybody wants what MSTR had, what MetaPlanet had, right? Like, MetaPlanet is up infinity from its Bitcoin treasury. 4,000%, right? When they initiated that. So on that one, I like 760. 760. That is a pullback. All these strategy companies are definitely going bust. Yeah, that's my fear. Not only are they going to be selling BTC, but they're certainly going to be selling ETH and Sol and Ripple and whatever else they buy, right? It's not going to matter. They're not going to have conviction. I'm honestly surprised that Tesla hasn't sold more BTC, considering their balance sheet is kind of a mess, but whatever. One Rivian. Thank you, Pratik. And then SMLR, it looks like alts do, right? It's like, what do you do with this? I have no idea. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. I got nothing. Miners look the same. This is WGMI. Miners look the same. They're just in the middle of the cloud, kind of free floating. I like WGMI sub 15. Coin, same thing. It's starting to give it all back. Hit the target. Thanks for playing. What else is there to do here? I don't know. I got nothing. I got no ideas. It's not like every candle you have a home run idea, right? That's why it's important to track this stuff over time. It's never about one trade. It's about, can you do well for the year? Can you do well every time you see a setup like this, right? So there's still people, I'm sure, sitting in coin, probably with a longer time horizon, fine. But to expect anything in the near term to me is kind of silly. We hit the target. I don't know what else to say. I don't have any other ideas there. Hood I talked about. I like this one as a cup and handle. Sub 55. So again, to me, all this stuff just needs time. Rivian, I haven't looked at this lately, but it probably pulled back a bunch. It did. Looks okay, right? I'm here till 2026 on Rivian. So whatever. What do I care? Doesn't matter to me. What would you want to see AML do? AML. Aston Martin? This one? Or are we talking crypto? I don't know. You'll have to let me know. Let me catch up here. Metaplanet. SOX L. That's 3x. Yeah? Yeah. I see. I can pick up what you're putting down. This is a just vanilla inverted head and shoulders chart. You got your edge to edge as well. You've got this crazy drawdown. You got to be careful because there's volatility drag here. There's fees. That's going to make this look more bearish than it was. It was clearly down a lot. But the leverage component would drag this much lower, right? I like it here. I like it higher. I like a stop loss at 1450. SMH probably looks the same. Not quite. Looks much better. But that's the difference, right? Between a 3x product and a not leveraged product is the volatility drag. What I did this week with IWM, it's the same story. I bought both. I bought IWM and I bought TNA, which is 3x IWM. Small caps haven't done well for my lifetime. It feels like. I guess they did well post COVID, but I'm not expecting this to be a slam dunk. But it's something to do while you're waiting for crypto to play out. That's IWM. This is TNA. Same deal, just like SOXL and SMH. Remember back in 2017, the blockchain lemonade? Yeah, exactly. It's 100% just like that, where people were just adding blockchain to the name of their company and stock was going up. It's all just PR fluff, right? So it gets people talking about a company you would never have on your radar, and then there's social media talking about it, and there's people asking about it. There's people interested in it. And just like MSTR, I mean, that was certainly the case early on. I was there. It was just like, okay, cool. It's Michael Saylor. He's gonna say some crazy stuff and do some crazy stuff. The difference is that survived a bear market, right? He held on. Rightfully or wrongfully, he held on and kept buying. I would love to see this bear market, who sticks around in the Treasury company world, because I assume, again, most of those are not going to stick around. DN3? The hell is that? Oh. Why do they have like 50 tickers? Clearly it's based on the exchange, but unless you're, the other issue is unless you're trading on this German exchange, the price is like irrelevant, right? So I don't know. 3350 is one way to pull it up. this chart probably the best representation of price, but what do I know? Yeah, I think 3350 is the best. When talking about liquid assets, U.S. equities are still the best way to create wealth long-term. Crypto, I am not sure anymore. Maybe. What do you want to look at? You want to look at total divided by S&P? This is total divided by S&P. All of the crypto market divided by the S&P. It looks pretty bullish to me. Looks pretty bullish to me. Discuss how you not feel FOMO when you see Metaplanet. I mean, I didn't feel FOMO on MSTR the first time. If we want to talk about the ETH ICO, like how far back do we want to go? If you're here long enough, you can't be bothered by it. You can't make every trade, right? It's physically impossible to trade everything at the same time. So you have to do what you have conviction in. I didn't buy the ETH ICO. I didn't buy MSTR. Didn't buy MSTR back here. Didn't buy it back here. But I eventually traded it. I think the goal is to just do the best you can. You don't have to be a superhero on every single idea that you see. I think Metaplanet up here at like a 3 to 6x NAV makes 0 sense to me, regardless of the tax advantages. So I just don't care. I would rather stick to my system, my edge, stuff that I know works for me, than worry about catching some like crazy move on a shitcoin or Metaplanet. Correct, Pratik. The volatility drag will eat at, EV/AV is another good example. This is leveraged EVs. All of this stuff should go to 0 over time just because of the fees. And if they're targeting daily rebalancing, you get disconnect over time. And BITU is another good example. Like, why is Bitcoin at an all-time high and BITU not at an all-time high? It's because of the volatility drag. Over time, it'll just get disconnected. In short windows and short periods of time, it will act as it should. But the longer we go on stuff like this, the more disconnected it will get. You can look at TQQQ as another example. Over time, it'll just get more and more and more disconnected. In short time windows, it'll roughly act as a 3x product. That's why if you're trading these ETFs, you have to be careful about holding them over a long period of time, because they will just continuously underperform because of just the market going up and down. So what do you want to see with these products? You want to see like a breakout trade. You want to see strong momentum, strong continuation, a clear trend. You do not want to sit in this stuff if it's chopping around. Lone Wolf McQueen. What's up, Chuck Norris? What do you got for me today? Chuck Norris? Do I short? We talked about shorting at the beginning. I have shorted in the past. I have no problem with it. I just would rather sit in cash. To me, that's a great short play. 1x short position, right? The same thing with hedging. Like, I have no issue with hedging. I would just rather sit in cash. That's just me. Funding is negative here, I'm pretty sure, anyway. So you're not even getting paid to be short. Cash 3 is a small Brazilian company. I assume they bought in April? Based on the chart? It's kind of like the GME situation. You have a confluence of technicals with a PR fundamental event of some like reinvigoration of the Treasury. This thing was flat for 3 years. It would be hilarious to me if Rivian, we want to talk about technicals and fundamentals. If Rivian adds Bitcoin to their treasury, they're like negative cash flow. I don't think they would, but just because of the crazy technicals here, right? At least in my eyes. Coin is another great example of technicals and fundamentals. You had this setup, perfect textbook setup, and then the S&P announcement hits, right? Boom. You had technicals were already ready to go, just waiting, would probably have gone on their own, and then you get this catalyst fundamentally. Affirm. Yeah. Little head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders action. Don't hate it. Don't hate it. What was another one? App 11 was another one people were looking at. It looks pretty okay, right? Like it's trying to reconsolidate above the cloud. How's Costco looking? Just hanging out. Nvidia, is that still up today? Yeah, still up. It's red on the day, but it's up from the close. It's tough. Like, are you a believer here? The cloud is like telling you should be a believer. I wasn't a believer in Nvidia there, and here we are. But I don't know. I don't know. Like I said already, you can't make all the trades all the time. It still looks okay. It's just ranging. So I don't know. I got nothing there on that one. What is my edge? My edge is looking for trends, looking for reversals, looking for breakouts. That's my edge. My edge is not guessing on how far the MNAV will go on companies. Do ADRs for foreign stocks have similar NAV loss? I have no idea on that question. Can you short for work? So in the fund, we do not short. We just are risk managed. So that's, in our case, it is either long or cash. It's not inclusive of shorting. That's just our style, our mandate, I guess you could say. ETHUSD sure faked out. It sure did, unsurprisingly. Do I short on Kraken? Depending on your jurisdiction, you have access to futures. I do not have access to futures. TLT ETF is an example of an ETF not to hold. I think TLT is fine. The issue isn't TLT. The issue is what's the leveraged? Is it TMF? TYD? Which one is it? That's 10 years, so this is TMF. This is TMF. And this is TLT. The issue isn't any of this stuff. It's literally just the leverage and the rebalancing component. They also have higher fees. So there's constantly, you're swimming upstream. So if you don't have momentum, price will go down just automatically on the rebalance targeting every day. Some of these ETFs have issued non-daily rebalancing, but like monthly or weekly rebalancing. I haven't seen what those have looked like long enough, if that has mattered, but theoretically that should help smooth out the volatility drag. Do I trade options? I trade options personally, very limited. I haven't done well with options. BT, yeah, BTC below 106. Thoughts on IREN? We can look at miners, but what do you need, right? You need, at the very least, you need BTC to be bullish. At the very least. You even had, not for nothing, a great NVIDIA earnings just now, where anything in the AI HPC space should have done better today. It did not. It did not. So even something like IREN, still negative on the day. Cores, still negative on the day. So what is bullish for the miners, right? If like alts, if miners are not behaving as they should, where they're giving you more downside and not enough upside, like they just don't make sense to be trading. They just don't. If they're supposed to be 2x BTC and they're not, that's a negatively skewed return profile that is rough to sit in. And we can look at this if we go BTC versus WGMI. I guess we have to start, hold on. Start with WGMI. Add BTC. Gold miners are the same way. Uranium miners, silver miners, metal, precious metal, all the miners act in this similar fashion where you'd expect them to behave one way and they don't, and they just disconnect. And they kind of just trade like garbage, right? This is the inception of WGMI. It has not kept up. This is an example of, you know, volatility drag, right? Or beta that is not keeping up. At very, very specific time samples, you can see it as a outperformance component, WGMI. Like WGMI did better from like April 24 to December 25, and then it did worse. How has it done year to date? It's been garbage year to date, right? It's been real bad. And we can look at, if we look at GDX versus GLD, it's the same idea. Over a huge period of time, GLD is just the better, it's just the better option. So you have to trade the miners. I don't think you can sit in the miners. And you could say, well, the miners give you a dividend and they theoretically should always do better. Like you could do well trading miners. It's just harder. It's just harder. Because there are periods of time where they act as they should and periods of time where they don't. It's just they have a hard time continuously outperforming. So you got to be careful there. What's up, Burns? CoreWeave. Core. What is the ticker? There it is. We'll take a look at gold in a second and we'll call it CoreWeave. This is the classic, what more do you want? Right, this is 3x from lows, 2x from all-time highs the first time, post-IPO. Like, at this point, what more do you want is my question. It's the same thing I say for the altcoin people. Like, what else do you want to get out of this? Do you want to get another 2x out of this? It doesn't make much sense to me. So I got nothing. Support for this, what is the 50%? Like 66? Basically just like Metaplanet, you know, the old all-time high, post-IPO all-time high, whatever, but 66, you know, again, will it go that low? Who knows? That's why what I do is, where's the horizontal tool? Is there a VPVR here? Okay, there's a VPVR. So this is the level where I concentrate bids. And then if there's any other levels that I like, you just throw some bids here, throw some bids here. I was just looking at the VPVR, maybe throw some bids in the middle of the VPVR where there's no activity because you know those are probably going to get hit. And you just let the chips fall as they may, right? Like I would not jump into this up here. I just wouldn't on any chart that looks like this. NVIDIA earnings felt like a troll. Well, they're kind of erasing all the gains, overnight gains, right? Okay, let's talk about gold and then we'll get out of here because we're running into time now. Gold, a little bit of a head and shoulders, huh? A little bit of a head and shoulders action there. Don't tell Peter Schiff. Head and shoulders. So what do you want on gold? You want gold above 33.70. You know, you want it to make a new high, right? But you can't sit here and be bullish on gold if it looks like that. Sorry. Not only is it a head and shoulders here, but it's after an insane 6-month rally for gold. So I would be careful. This could not break down and just go sideways, right? But the idea here is if you're seeing reversal patterns, BTC, then you just got to be mindful of that. You got to be mindful of the possibility that this is a reversal pattern for BTC. Any updates on optimal cloud settings? I would just use whatever you like. You know, I talk about something that I've back tested and forward tested, and I think publicly everyone's seen the calls that these 4 numbers have given people, right? Is it necessarily the best? I don't know. It's hard to know. Now, if we talk about the AI settings, the AI settings are 15. I'll just type them in here. I'll get out of here. 15, 37, 40, 18. They are back tested 2022 to 2024. So they've been live out of back testing for like a year now, and they've done very well. They've done very well. Is this going to be the case forever? I don't know. Currently, it's signaling the same thing that the normal settings are signaling. We're breaking down from the Tenkin, right? What you could pick out of this one that you don't on my settings is that you're going to get a bearish TK cross probably tomorrow or the day after. And that's an exit signal. What this did better than my settings was the entry at 86. Did really, really good at that. So it just depends on what you want to trade and how you want to trade it. That's my answer for everybody. AI backtest across 100 coins. The guy I talked to, so I talked to an AI research guy like over a year ago, and he just looked at BTC. But you know, if you have those capabilities, you'd be able to run this against anything, right? And it would give you different numbers for any coin. I doubt they would be the same for everything. Do I think default Ichimoku makes more sense? I was also thinking about that today because I was looking at, I don't want to mess up this chart, hold on. I was looking at IBIT a lot, and IBIT on the legacy cloud doesn't really look like it's in trouble to me. Like, it's harder for me to pick out that this is a reversal on both the cloud and on IBIT. So to me, it makes a lot more sense to just take the signals off of spot using the spot cloud. But this is clearly a TKC clamp, right? So that's a warning signal. Was there a no bear div on this? But it's harder for me to see what's going on here. Even the Williams fractals, like there's a support fractal at 57.66. That's not super helpful up here to me. So maybe this is a legacy settings issue, a time frame issue. I don't know. I'm still kind of playing around with it. But I just like MSTR, right? Like if you're bearish, if you're using BTC as your risk gauge and your risk metric, it doesn't make sense to be bearish BTC and super bullish alts. I mean, look at this list, right? Look at this list. It's a bloodbath. It's a bloodbath. Except for ETH, which is only up or only down slightly less than BTC. So if you're bearish BTC, you need a damn good reason to be bullish MSTR. MSTR is up today, right? So this has always been an issue. Do you trade the charts independently, or do you say that these are correlated, one follows the other? Generally, they're all correlated. Where you really need to take notice is why, like back here in September, October, why was MSTR making highs and BTC wasn't? There's a reason for that. People were super bulled up on MSTR, and then November happened, and then BTC broke out, right? So it's like a special situation where the leverage stuff outperforms. ETH outperforming on a red day is wild. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It is what it is. Give it time. Give it time. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the live. Thanks for Twitter, folks. Thanks for all the subs. Thanks for the watchers on the recording. If you want me to look at anything, let me know in the comments. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff we just didn't talk about today. Really not much going on, let's be honest. There's a few setups out there. I think, honestly, the best looking charts are like SOX L, which I don't love, just based on the general broader market. You've got IWM, which is Russell 2000, which I don't love as a sector, but there you are. And you, of course, have this on the SPY, which is still an inverted head and shoulders to some degree, right? So you really don't need to see this go to 560, but if it did, sure. But the pattern is there, the trappings for continuation is there. This is just as overbought as BTC. So it makes sense that everything is taking a breather here to me. All right, that's all I got for this one. Take care, everybody. Have a good weekend. See you Sunday. Bye-bye.